Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My name is Renee Carter. I am a Black American woman, and 3 years into my marriage I heard my husband, Terrence Holt, a Black American man, forget to hang up a call and tell someone, "Our marriage is awful, but I am only with her because of her family's money." I did not drop the phone. I did not scream. I sat very still on the edge of our bed, staring at the wall as if it could explain my life back to me. His voice came through again, careless and honest in the worst way. "Her dad is loaded, man. You think I would still be in this if there was not a trust fund behind it?" The other voice laughed, low and muffled, like they were speaking over drinks. "So, you were just going to ride it out?" There was a pause. Then Terrence said, calm and proud of his math, 2 more years, maybe 3. Then I will have enough to walk. She will not even see it coming. She is too comfortable. I ended the call with a steady hand. The screen in my palm felt like it had delivered a death sentence, not of a person, but of the life I believed was real. 3 years unraveled in seconds. Every late-night confession, every laugh, every apology now felt choreographed. The betrayal did not erupt into tears. It arrived as silence, an eerie hollow where my heartbeat felt too loud. I opened a drawer of wedding photos and pulled the candid we loved, laughing in the rain, soaked and alive, and wondered when calculation entered the frame. I remembered our engagement, how quickly it moved, how he charmed my family. My father, Reginald Carter, careful and steady, took time to warm up. My mother, Angela, beamed and said, "You chose someone with good instincts." I had believed her. I did not sleep that night. I lay beside the man who had just confirmed he did not love me, treating our marriage as a temporary investment. His breathing was peaceful. I wondered if he knew how loud the silence felt from my side of the bed. Morning brought routine like clockwork. I made coffee. He came downstairs in sweatpants, kissed my head, asked if I slept. I smiled and told him I did. He poured his half cup, no sugar, glanced at our shared calendar, swiped away a notification, said nothing. When he left, I opened my laptop, ignored the contracts I should have reviewed, and wrote down exactly what I heard on that call. Not for court, for myself. A record for the days I would doubt, a compass back to the truth. That afternoon I drove to my parents' house, but did not go in. I sat in the car, engine off, staring at the porch where I grew up. I could not hand them my pain yet. My father would ask for proof. My mother would blame herself. That evening, I set the stage, candles, soft music, dinner. When Terrence came home, he smiled, told me it smelled amazing, kissed my cheek, said he missed me. We ate together. He talked about a pitch meeting. I played supportive to map the routine. I took note of everything. The practiced warmth, the careful pacing, the way he needed my father's network without asking for it outright. I let him pull me close as we watched a movie I did not care about, cataloging the motions of a part he had mastered. The next morning I woke before the alarm. The bed felt foreign. Ordinary things, his fingers grazing my arm, made my skin itch. In the mirror, I looked unchanged. No one would have guessed I had overheard my husband calculating an exit from our marriage. In the kitchen, I started coffee and realized I did not want any. I finished making it anyway. The motions grounded me as he came down in his navy sweatshirt, the one he wore on work-from-home days. He asked if I was up early. I said yes. After breakfast, I sat with my laptop open, calendar full of meetings I did not intend to join. 3 years of marriage, unspooled by less than 3 minutes of audio. I began to re-examine the details I had forgiven as quirks. He suggested high-end restaurants when my parents were present. He grew quiet unless money meant a gift coming our way. He once pushed to lease a new car in my name because my credit was stronger. Practical at the time. Transparent now. He had not fallen out of love. He had never been in it. I opened our photos, zoomed into his expression. Arm around me, smiling, eyes angled just past the lens toward whatever came next. I saved a few recent images for documentation, not nostalgia. By midweek, he came home early, unusually attentive, eyes scanning my face. "You seem off," he said. I smiled gently. "Just tired." He did not believe me. That night, I mentioned my father was quietly restructuring parts of the family business. Terrence looked up. "Is everything okay?" I shrugged. "Probably. He is just being careful." I watched concern flash across his face, quickly masked. "He always thinks 10 steps ahead," he said. I nodded. "It runs in the family." The next day he offered a romantic weekend, cabin somewhere quiet. It was not like him. I declined politely. He grew more affectionate, talked about long-term goals and generational wealth. I listened. I already knew my long-term plan did not include him. On Friday, I moved quietly. I met with my bank manager and opened an account in my name only. I moved a modest amount, enough to start separating, not enough to raise suspicion. I said nothing. I changed a password later, just to feel a line drawn. Over the weekend, I visited my parents under the pretense of helping with tax documents. I asked calm questions about legal protections and the trust. My father watched me with the patience of a man who knows truth takes time to surface. Back home, Terrence raised the idea of a business together, brand, last name, connections. Your dad might even know someone. He trailed off, expecting me to fill the space with permission. I did not. I simply looked at him, and he began to sweat. On Sunday, I said lightly that my family was tightening a few things, that my father had become more private with numbers. He nodded, called it wise, but did not touch his coffee after. When I stepped away for a call, I heard him pacing the kitchen. Monday, I researched quietly, financial consultants, storage facilities, protecting assets during separation. Knowledge felt like armor. I noticed his laptop always faced away in common spaces now, his phone screened down at dinner, new business cards stacking up. He grew agitated and vague about meetings. At dinner, he pitched an app about financial literacy for couples and said people trust legacy. He used the word we while envisioning my father's connections. I listened, storing every detail. I changed my personal banking password the next day anyway. That evening, he took me to an expensive restaurant on a weeknight. The hostess greeted him with familiarity. He spoke with urgency under the enthusiasm, then asked if he could casually use my father's name. I said it depended on context. He laughed, hollow around the edges. The next morning, he was restless, started conversations and abandoned them, spilled coffee grounds and walked away. I stayed calm. He said he might take a few meetings. He did not elaborate. That afternoon, I withdrew $200 from my personal account to hold in my wallet, proof that not everything was shared or reachable. He brought flowers again that evening, and the same wine he assumed I liked, and talked about a lucky contact near my father's circle. He asked if my father would mind him dropping his name casually. I noted the layering, say it lightly enough, and maybe it would not sound like exploitation. He went to bed sure he had regained control. I went to bed sure he had not. At brunch the next day, he proposed a new joint account, just for investments. I asked why. He called it cleaner and more strategic. Every word sounded like a manual. That night I backed up documents, tax returns, loan records, joint account history. By Sunday he pretended to clean and checked his phone every few minutes. He asked whether I had spoken to my parents. I said not since last week. Just wondered if they mentioned that restructuring, he said. I shrugged. Just that things are shifting. On Monday the attention sharpened. He sent carefully neutral texts. What are you up to? Thinking about you. Let me know if you need anything. I replied when I felt like it, with short answers and no decoration. He left a voice note in a softened tone. He showed up at my office with coffee and pastries. Figured you could use a break, he said, eyes scanning me for clues. He threw a deliberate kiss in the lobby like he needed witnesses to a still intact performance. I accepted the coffee and nothing else. Flowers arrived at my office midweek, larger and flashier, with a handwritten note. Just because you deserve the world. It felt less like romance and more like pressure. The next morning he asked if I wanted to look at properties, to dream a little. That evening, I mentioned that my family would be scaling back on a few investments and that my father was more private than ever. He did not react at first, but later I heard him whispering down the hallway, his tone tight and urgent. Friday morning he brought breakfast in bed and asked for a real talk. He said he did not want to lose what we had built. He reached for my hand. I let him hold it and did not give him what he wanted in return. I had already decided. That night he cried silently over his phone. I did not offer comfort, and I did not ask why. Some truths cannot be soothed, and some performances falter when there is no audience to affirm them. On Saturday I called my parents and asked to come over. In their kitchen, I told them the truth. The call he forgot to end, the words I heard, the casual arithmetic of my life reduced to payout and exit strategy. My father asked how long I had known. 2 weeks, I said. And you were certain, he asked. I said yes. What do you want to do? He asked next. I appreciated that he did not try to minimize anything. My mother squeezed my hand and said they were here. That evening I suggested dinner out to Terrence and let him choose the place. He chose the steakhouse my father once recommended. Over salmon, I asked, "What would you do if my family's financial situation changed?" He paused mid-chew and searched my face. "It would not change anything," he said finally. "Some opportunities might look different, but that is not why I am here." He reached for my hand, and I let him hold it without returning pressure. His eyes shifted to calculation. We went home, and he disappeared into his office. I heard him make a low, urgent call behind a closed door. I did not need to listen. I had enough. The next night he cooked candles and wine sincerity and toasted to new beginnings. I said, "I want to talk about the call." He froze, then tried to reframe it as venting and a bad joke. I recited his words back to him. He ran out of excuses. "Then what happens now?" he asked. "You should stay somewhere else for a while," I said. "For how long?" "I do not know yet." "And us?" "There is no us." He looked at our table, the carefully staged meal cooling between us, and said he never meant to hurt me. "You never meant for me to find out," I replied. He left the next morning with a backpack and his laptop. I locked the door behind him with a simple turn of the bolt and stood in the hallway listening to the quiet. He texted apologies that afternoon, followed by pleas to talk, followed by accusations that I was shutting him out. A flower delivery arrived. White roses with a note still hoping for us. I put them in the trash. He began leaving voicemails, restless and sleepless, then grand vows about fixing everything. On Thursday, he left a handwritten letter. He wrote about being lost, about admiring my strength, about feeling less than around my family. Money appeared in the last paragraph. "Maybe I leaned on your family too much," he wrote. "Maybe I thought it would be easier with their help, but I never loved you less." He did not admit the plan. He asked to prove himself. I folded the pages and placed them in a drawer with everything else. He called my mother. She texted that she had not engaged. Later he sent me a voice note about Nashville, remembering a storm, a motel, and giving me his jacket. "That was not fake," he said. "Those moments had been real. The plan was too." By Sunday his tone hardened. "You are making a mistake," he texted. "You are going to regret this when the anger wears off." I did not respond. I forwarded everything to my attorney, Carla Hughes. We began formal steps, quiet, methodical, legal. My father reviewed documents and sent one message. "Proud of how you are handling this. Let me know if you need anything else." I needed silence and room to breathe. My own voice returned, clear and steady. Papers were served on a Wednesday to an apartment he borrowed while giving me space. He did not call that night. His attorney requested mediation to protect what he called what is fair. I already knew what he meant by that. In discovery, irregular withdrawals appeared on the joint account for 6 months. Small at first, then larger. Transfers to a second personal account. One transfer referenced a non-existent consulting company. Another went to a private account in the name of Sierra Bennett. My attorney's research found Sierra was a college girlfriend, also Black American, recently unemployed. The payments were spaced weeks apart, maintenance, not charity. We included everything. Fake company names, mismatched expense reports, paper-only startups. Terrence's response did not deny the transactions. He contextualized them as mutual lifestyle choices, incidental benefits, emotional support. The documents told a different story. Anger finally arrived in me. Not sorrow, not shock, but clean heat. We met for mediation. He wore a blazer and brought a smile designed for misunderstandings. The mediator, Mr. Douglas, outlined terms. Carla spoke calmly. The paper trail spoke louder. Terrence looked at me once and said he never meant it to go this far. "You meant it to go far enough," I said. He did not speak again. We did not finish that day, but by the second session the outline was clear. He would not contest the dissolution, would make no claim on family assets or anything tied to the trust. He asked to keep a watch I gave him on our first anniversary. I said no. He did not argue. Within 3 months, filings were complete. Nothing public and loud, just the deliberate dismantling of a lie done by people who preferred facts to drama. I moved into a smaller place that was wholly mine. I changed my number. He sent one last email with no subject line. "I never stopped loving you." I read it once and deleted it, not from anger, but from relief. People say closure arrives with forgiveness. Mine arrived in silence, in a home where I did not measure my words, in mornings without dread, in the calm of a day that belonged to me. I kept the circle small: my family, my sister Jasmine, a few friends. Others filled in their own blanks. I worked longer hours because I wanted to. Pride returned, not as a role in a couple, but as my own steady flame. There were hard days. I let them pass through me like weather. I donated the dress I wore to that steakhouse dinner. The night I knew I could not pretend anymore. I tossed the wine glasses we used for show and replaced the silverware we had picked together. I went to therapy and told the truth out loud. "He used me," I said, and my therapist did not flinch or soften it. She asked, "What did that teach you about yourself?" I did not answer right away, but I kept going back until an answer formed. My parents were exactly what I needed: calm, grounded, not vengeful. My father never said, "I told you so." He helped gather documents and gave me a quiet nod when everything finalized. My mother cried once over coffee and said, "You deserved better." As for Terrence, he disappeared the practiced way, quietly, with a dignity curated for an audience that had moved on. Last I heard, he relocated to another American city and launched a consultancy with captions about setbacks and reinvention. An old college friend sent a link to his new website and asked if it was him. I did not open it. I wrote back, "Not anymore. I do not know whom he is dating now. I do not want to know. The script writes itself without me." I never contacted Sierra. I did not need to hear her version. I already knew the story he would have told: misunderstood, pressured, trapped. Maybe parts were true. Maybe it was the script. Either way, she was not my responsibility. Months after the divorce finalized, I found the notebook where I recorded patterns and lies. I read a few pages and dropped it in the trash. The proof had done its work. The transformation was not about exposing him. It was about reclaiming me. I am no longer a wife managed like an investment or a gate to a trust. I am a Black American woman who saw the truth, held her ground, and walked away. On certain evenings, I take a walk just to take a walk. I make coffee because I like the smell. I do not check another person's schedule before making plans. I do not edit myself to keep someone comfortable. Sometimes I remember Nashville and the storm he mentioned. The motel, the jacket, my head on his shoulder. Those memories were real. Real moments can exist inside a lie. That does not make the lie less real, and it does not make the exit less necessary. When I think of the night I told him to leave, I remember the way the candles flickered over plates gone cold, the hollow echo of new beginnings in his toast, the way he searched my face for the old script and could not find the cue. I remember locking the door after he left, the simplest motion in the world, and feeling the house breathe with me. It was not victory. It was not revenge. It was a return to the center. The story ends in a quiet place, not triumphant, not tragic, just precise. My name restored. My accounts reset. My keys on a ring that belongs to me. My life exactly the size of my truth. If I am asked what I learned, I say this: routine is not love, maintenance is not tenderness, and sincerity without integrity is just another strategy. If I am asked what I kept, I say this: the rain laugh from the photograph, my mother's steady hand on mine, my father's nod, the first morning I woke and did not brace for impact. The rest I left behind: his timelines, his equations, the language of leverage disguised as partnership. He can keep the script. I am done being written into it. The life I live now is not loud, but it is mine, and that is more than enough. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.